everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me tonight. This is a reading for March the 25th, 2021. Okay, let's see what messages we get tonight. I had so much fun with the Celtic cross yesterday. We're going to do it again. Okay. I only got the first half of the reading with what came out. And you know what? I'm feeling like we're going to do this part first. What I can see right away is that you're in a situation right now where you're awaiting your rebirth. You are feeling it big time. You feel like every day could be the day. It's going to happen today. It's like you're waiting for something to manifest in front of your eyes immediately. It's almost like I'm getting the sense that you're on your spiritual journey, and on that journey you're reading too many books. You're listening to too many people's opinions. I'm sensing like a mild obsessive vibe that says, I will make this happen. I will figure this out, when really that energy is pulling you further away, because it's like a craving energy. And then that creates an impediment to what you're actually craving, because your focus becomes the craving, not the question. Do you know what I mean? If you want to sit and dwell on something, just sit and dwell on the question, who am I? Sit in that question. Don't sit in how am I going to figure out when I'm going to be reborn? How am I going to figure out my spiritual mission? There's no judgment of that energy, but I sense it. I feel the energy of your seeking. You're seeking, and now it's becoming about the seeking. It's becoming about the seeking and the less about the question, who am I? You're spending less time asking that question and more time seeking ways to find the answer. Does that make sense? It's like you're looking in the external world for answers that really only dwell within you. Okay? Now, I'm sensing and seeing that in the past, the recent past, potentially, you were in a situation where you received public acclamation. So it makes sense that you're looking in the external world for solutions, because you certainly received a lot of good feedback from the external world when you express yourself creatively, which is great. But I'm telling you that in the present, that's not how you're going to figure this out. You're going to have to go in. Okay? Now, the underlying desire here that you have, ultimately pulling you away from your rebirth, has to do with choice. There's ultimately too many possibilities, which is what the Seven of Cups card is saying in reverse, is that the possibilities are actually limitless. And for you to make a singular decision is playing with your mind a little bit. There is no one single truth. The truth is whatever you decide it is. And in order to figure out any truth, you're not going to find it by going out. You're going to find it by asking inward questions. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to know who you are if you go around asking people who you are. You're going to have to know who you are by asking yourself who you are in different scenarios. And by looking at your experiences that you've had in life, you can look at your life in a way that teaches you who you are in those moments. And then you learn from that, and you go on to the next experience and then you're curious to see who you are now that you learned that in this experience. How does that change you for the next experience, right? Now in the future, the coming future, the not too distant future, we have the Ace of Swords in reverse. Now the Ace of Swords in reverse well, okay, let me say that again. The Ace of Swords, when it's not in reversed, when the Ace of Swords is upright, it suggests that there's a raw new energy coming into your life that will help you express yourself, but you're going to have to go through conflict to get there. Okay? So this Swords is always about lessons learned through conflict. And it's a part of life. So the fact that it's reversed and it's in the future tells me that you're going to learn lessons about the self through conflict, but you're going to resist it. Which, my dear friends, is not going to serve you because, you know, when conflict comes, if we resist the conflict, then we essentially are resisting truth, which is your game in the first place. Your whole thing is about seeking truth. So why in the future are you changing your mind about the truth and saying, I don't want to learn the truth if there's going to be conflict? If there's conflict, I'm going to resist the conflict. When the conflict comes, embrace the conflict. And I'm giggling because it sounds silly to say embrace the conflict, but really, that's all you can do. If you run from the conflict, it's going to chase you. If you hide from the conflict, it's going to find you. And so really, the only thing you can do is to face it. But the fact that the card is in reverse tells me you're going to resist the conflict. And so that also gives me the vibe of delay, more delay. And you're not about delay right now, right? You're not about delays right now. You're in a state of moon, being reborn. And so delays aren't going to be where you find that rebirth. And so let's see what the other 4 cards are in this Celtic cross. Okay, the first one. What does this add to the picture? The first card we see is how we see ourselves. Okay? So the inner self. Now the 4 of Cups is an interesting card to get in this position because it's, first of all, it's in reverse. So let me talk a little bit about this card. When the 4 of Cups is not reversed, it suggests a time of boredom, but it's reversed. So that brings me back to that nervous energy again about needing to go for a walk. You may need to get that physical energy out of your body somehow because you've got this physical energy and you're challenged by it. Like when this card is upright, it suggests that you're bored and dissatisfied. So if it's in the reverse, that says to me that you're challenged in your mood. Your mood's challenged. You're having a mood. You're being moody. Are you moody? You're moody. You are moody and you see yourself as moody. But you know what's interesting? The rest of the world doesn't see you as moody. The rest of the world sees you as raw, physical power. Raw, physical energy. That's how you project. You project into the world as incredibly physically ready to go. There's like this feminine, raw, grounding energy that it's like the needs of the body are met. That's how people see you. That's how people see you. Really, I'm getting the word strong. So maybe people, are you buff? Like, do you work out? Maybe you do Pilates. Maybe you lift weights. Maybe you run. Maybe you do stuff like that. There's something like that happening here. That's how other people see you. And that's the part of you that they see the most. Like, I'm sure you're very diverse and there's a lot going on, but the part of you that people see is this element of you, which is interesting because in your atmosphere, and as far as you're concerned, you're all 4 elements. But the one that shines through the most is this pentacle energy. So that could also mean that you have a rising sign in one of the earth signs. The outcome here is that you're refusing to choose this time. You need time. You need time in isolation, not to hide from people and avoid conflict, which is, I think you're misinterpreting the hermit here. Avoiding conflict is not understanding the true purpose of the hermit card. The hermit card is going to the nest. It's like you're that cosmic egg and you're going into the nest so that you can be reborn, which is the whole point of your reading. So it's really beautiful here. I'm going to get to the card I flipped over, but do you see the connections here? And that choice is ultimately the thing, right? You need to choose to hermit down in the way that says when you go deep, you're going to go inside yourself for the answers. You're not going to look for them in the public because you're not going to find them. You found acclaim. You found ego in the public in the past. In the past, the public praised you for your creativeness, and that isn't gonna, that's great, but that's not gonna be this experience. This experience has to be internal. This is an internal process you're going through. So your resistance to conflict and your resistance to, I think that conflict is an inner conflict. If you resist inner conflict, you won't get the answers. You won't. The answers come to you that way. There's a beautiful Rumi quote that says, "The wound is where the light goes in." And there's another one this is a Rumi reading, that says, "You have to keep breaking your heart until it opens." You can't run from these inner struggles. You just can't. They're the things that evolve you. And that's why I hesitated to read this card immediately, because the cards in the fives are always the things that propel us into spiritual awakening. And that's the thing that you're afraid of. You're afraid of what this card is going to bring. This is a tough one. The Five of Pentacles involves loss, perceived loss. I just made a post on my Instagram account today about trusting that rejection is divine redirection. And you need to adopt that kind of attitude when it comes to loss, because it's all about the meaning you attach to it. If you attach catastrophe as the meaning to loss, then the suffering is going to be like real. It's going to be really suffering. So why not attach a different meaning to that, to see it as it's not loss, it's really redirection, right? And setbacks can really be the vehicle to having faith. Sometimes when things don't go the way that you really thought that they would go, that doesn't mean you need to run from it. You don't have to run from the conflict. You can face it. I'm getting this feeling like I need to tell you that you can face the conflict, and that you don't need to hide from the world. You can turn this hermit right side up and realize that the truth is within you already. And all you need to do is start asking the right questions. You're not asking the wrong questions, but you're just not asking the most helpful ones. You know what I mean? The attitude of curiosity needs to come into play here. This attitude of being curious about who you are, because that's really what this is all about. What's the point of being reborn if you don't know who you are before you transform. You have to know who you are first and then transform, right? Okay, so I want to get some clarification for you on this future card, the Ace of Swords in reverse, that implies you're going to be resistant to a conflict. Okay, well, the nature of the conflict emerges. It's the Hangman. So the nature of the conflict is whenever I see this card, I always just think you need to chill out. You need to be patient. You need to just trust the process. It's actually a beautiful card to get as a clarifier to the conflict that you're trying to avoid in the Ace of Swords in the future, in that you're not relaxing. You're not trusting the process. You're trying to speed up time here. You can't speed up time. You just can't. You have to adopt a more similar attitude to our friend the Hanged Man here, who completely trusts that everything is happening in its divine timing and that there's no need to rush. And he uses his intuition to guide him, and he's chilling, man. He is chillin'. So you can do that too. You can chill. You don't need to rush the process. Your rebirth is coming. And as I keep sort of saying over and over, the seeking becomes the impediment. Okay, that's going to be the name of this video. The seeking becomes the impediment. Now, let's get some clarity on... I'd like some clarity on how you're feeling internally, because seeing the Four of Cups in reversed is interesting. The Tower. Yeah, well, that makes sense. It's the Tower. That's how you're feeling internally. I'm not laughing. I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. The Tower is how you're feeling internally. Of course it is. You're going through a transformation. But you really need to just go with the flow on this. Resisting the Tower is never a good idea, because it just makes the Tower experience more painful. You're adding suffering by attributing meaning to loss and saying it's loss. It's perceived loss. It's rejection. No, it's perceived rejection. It's actually redirection. But I'm losing everything around me. The Tower's falling apart. Is the Tower falling apart a loss? Why is it not? Maybe it's not a loss. Maybe the Tower falling apart is the rebirth. You guys, in order to be reborn, something has to exit. We have to shed our skin. You're the moon. You're rebirthing. You are transforming. You are going to become the magician that you see in yourself. But you're experiencing a Tower moment. Of course you are. And please, when it's time, just hermit correctly. Don't hide and sit in judgment of yourself. Turn this around and ask yourself the question, who am I? Who am I in the face of the Tower? Who am I? Who am I when the Ace of Sword conflict comes? Am I going to be the Hanged Man? Am I going to dwell and see it as loss? Or am I going to rise up and be the moon? So what a beautiful reading. Now, as always, you know me, and I love to pull lots of cards for you. I want some words of encouragement, because you've got the Tower, you've got the Hermit in reverse, you're transforming, you're resisting the notion that you need to just be still for the rebirth to happen in its own time. And the Tower moment's coming for you. You gotta change your perspective. It's not loss. It's perceived loss. It's not rejection. It's redirection. You're on the path. Ooh. Oh, I said you're on the path, and look what popped out. Go the distance. Yeah, go the distance. And be flexible. You guys, you can't make this up. Okay? These are the things. These are your words of encouragement. Go the distance. Be flexible. Look at how flexible the hanged man is. You know? And go the distance. Don't be afraid of this tower coming down. Go the distance. Go the distance. I love that. Wow. Go the distance and be flexible. And you know what else you can be flexible with? You can be flexible with your mental state, which is something to mention because the Ace of Swords in reverse also suggests rigidity. You could be very rigid, so be flexible. You know, you've got your hangman energy. Tap into that. Yeah. And this tower energy here that creates this timeline with this sense of ennui and boredom. Other people see you as full of raw energy. Rawr. Channel that feminine energy. The feminine energy, right? The moon. The moon is feminine. The pentacles are feminine. You're feminine. It's perceived loss. It's a scary looking card, but it's just perceived loss. It's redirection. It's just perception, guys. It's all about your perception. Go the distance. Go for it. Oh, you guys. Oh, I'm loving this energy I'm sitting in tonight. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it at that. You guys, I'm going to take a picture of this beautiful spread for you. As always, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you tomorrow for another daily reading. And I have other readings in mind that I want to start doing for you that are specific to your pathway. I'm sensing I have a lot of healers watching, so I want to start doing a monthly reading for channeling messages for people that are healers and people that are artists. I'm really sensing the desire to give specific messages to individuals that are healers and individuals that are artists. So look forward to those. And thank you again, and have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.